this morning. It's going to be scorching hot here today, but we're going to get our morning started with some art in the garden. So what we have here to get started, these are some color choices for our concrete acid stain. And this is acid, so safety gear is recommended, and you'll have to figure out what safety gear you need for your coordination level. Without a doubt, everybody should at least have some kind of gloves on because you don't want this on your skin. And this right here is a neutralizer, and it's a mixture of 1 part baking soda to 10 parts water, right? So if you do get this on your skin, your eyes, whatever, you can flush it. I know it wouldn't, let's just not get it in our eyes, okay? If you're worried about that, wear some goggles. Just be safe, you get my point, right? These are some paint brushes. Some of these I haven't used. You can see these two are new, right? These two I've used before for the concrete acid stain, and these brushes are not going to last very long because this acid is very corrosive. If you watched, we made our turtle about a week ago. It's a mixture of Portland cement and sand. It's 1 part Portland cement to 2 parts sand and water till you get the right consistency. And I am choosing to use the Sanibel color for my primary color. And then I also have for definition, we're going to use some rosewood here. We're going to use some Colorado gold and some Pacific dogwood. And you could use whatever color combination you want, but that's just what I'm going to use on this turtle this morning. And this turtle, we did go ahead and give it a little rinse off, just to make sure there's no debris, no powder left on from the mold making process. Well, let's go ahead, see if I can get this camera set up here. Get a view of the garden at the same time. Hopefully that'll be enjoyable. And I won't be able to see comments while I'm doing this because I have my phone in a contraption. Here we go. So just a little bit. It's my first time trying this octopus type device. All right, let's get started here. I'm going to start with putting my gloves on. I want this stuff on my skin for sure. And this is a Sanibel. Let's give it a little shake. I don't know that that's even necessary. Just be very careful with this stuff because it's acid, right? And it actually does kind of have a blue tint to it, but it's very watery. And I am going to take my largest brush. I'm just going to dip this in here. And just start by painting it on. And if you let it pool on, you'll get kind of a marbling effect, which is kind of cool too. That'll sort of happen naturally in the process at some points. And my husband had the great idea of just putting this on a plastic bag. That way we don't ruin any surfaces. And I don't have to like sit on the ground to do this, which is kind of hard on your back. This is kind of fun. As a child, I took a lot of art classes. And when I was in college studying business, I also took some art classes. I've always found art to be very therapeutic. And I did not choose the starving artist route in life. I worked primarily in business occupations at a university. What I discovered is you can use art in just about every aspect of your life. Believe it or not, even when you're doing spreadsheets, right? Creativity makes everything better. That includes cooking, gardening, all kinds of things. So there's probably going to be some parts of this that you don't catch because it's hard for me to aim the camera, but I think for the most part you'll be able to see most of the turtle in this process. And basically just saturating this concrete surface with the Sanibel. And you won't get like a solid regular color, but you're going to find as we do this, what you do get is going to be pretty awesome. I absolutely love this stuff. When I was trying to decide what to use to paint my turtles, I talked with a friend of mine that did pottery, and she suggested an epoxy paint. But then I talked with a friend of mine that was more into construction, who worked with concrete, and he told me to use concrete acid stain. And I'm really glad I went with that because the turtles that I did last year in our front yard, they're true to color. The sun hasn't faded them at all, and it's because this concrete acid stain actually combines with the concrete surface. It has a chemical reaction to it. So that is pretty awesome. There's not much that can withstand this desert sun. Everything gets bleached, even the birds. If you're looking at robins here, the robins are not bright red here because they're kind of bleached out. It's quite interesting. I accidentally got a little bit of a sunburn yesterday, and I really wasn't even spending that much time out with the heat that we've had. Actually hit 119 yesterday. I really had to pay a lot of attention to our garden, and so I don't know if I got my sunburn at the point in which I was putting food in and out of the sun oven, or if it was when I was adding a little extra water here and there over the course of the day to the garden. I was wearing a tank top, and my back doesn't usually get much sun. And thankfully it's not a bad burn because I wasn't like intentionally laying out trying to be in the sun. It doesn't hurt at all. I have all these beautiful aloes growing, so as soon as I realized I had some sunburn, I just went and cut off a stalk. There's a bug out here trying to bite me. I went and cut off a stalk, and I just slathered it all over my skin. Aloe is the miracle cure when it comes to any kind of burn. That includes kitchen burns. I've done that a couple times. I've had a burn from coffee before. We were taking coffee through from a drive-through, and they didn't have the lid on right, and my husband handed it to me, and I grabbed it at the top instead of at the base. And of course I squeezed the coffee out all over my stomach, and so my stomach turned red right away. So as soon as we got home, I actually got an aloe stop, rubbed it all over my stomach, and the next day the red was gone. That could have very easily been a blister. So aloe is pretty amazing stuff. But I guess my point of talking about that is just how intense our sun is here and how amazing it is that this concrete acid stain will hold its color. And you're going to find, depending on the color of sand you use, whether it's a lighter or darker sand, it's going to affect the color. So this is kind of it's Sanibel blue, but if I was using a darker color of sand, it would look even more aqua. So it's kind of fun to experiment with all the different parts of this, whether it's the cement or the sand or the color you put on it. My husband said, make sure you put like some brown modeling in places so if a bird poops on it, it doesn't show. That's funny. I don't think there's any bird poop on our ones in the front yard. The birds don't hang out there. This one I'm actually making for a neighbor. We had a really nice evening on the 4th of July. We went over to our neighbor's house who invited us to watch fireworks because she had a great view from her yard. And several of the neighbors came, and there was food, drinks, And it was just so generous of her to invite everybody over for that. And I noticed that she had a lot of stone type statue type things along the edge of her pool. And I actually, as dark as it was, I couldn't see the colors, but I think they were relatively light in color. And I noticed she has a lot of aqua in her house. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to make her a turtle to add to her collection. Plus, I just really enjoy doing this too. It's a great outlet. When I first started doing art when I was very young, sometimes it was a little frustrating because if you haven't really done any formal training for art, your eye and your mind isn't trained. But as you get used, so that's just basically to tell people that have no experience not to get discouraged. But once you start getting into this, it actually becomes relaxing. I got some dark colors, and it's probably my metal on my brush reacting to the concrete stains. I'm just kind of rinsing it off and wiping it. So you're going to end up with a lot of dark marks from that. Well, that was interesting. I actually just dipped my brush in the water before putting the stain over it. We'll see if we get a different texture or color from that. It looks like it's gonna, doesn't really matter. It looks like it's gonna be the same color. Yeah, if you're drinking coffee while you're doing this, don't have your coffee on your table. You don't want to accidentally dip your brush into your coffee. I'm sure somebody's done that before. If you do, dump it out, don't drink it. Just say no to ingesting acid, right? So one thing you could do to get a little more texture, when you add a dark color, you can kind of put your brush on the edge and let it pull and drip down the side, and that can be pretty cool. You won't get that effect with our turquoise aqua Sanibel color because it's all going to be more consistent, I think, solid, but we'll do that with an accent color just to give it some personality. Basically right now we're just getting our base coat on here. So we have a base color. Even though these are kind of pretty just as they are, painting them and adding some color is pretty cool, I think. Just make sure you get the edges along the bottom. You can always go back and touch it up with the base color if you want, if you find that you missed a spot. So it's easy for that to happen too, but since I know that that happens easily, I put a little extra effort into the sides to make sure I'm getting them coated. This has a texture of water. It goes on just like water. And that's part of why you have to be so careful with it, is it could very easily run onto your skin. So far I haven't had any problems with that, but I just take safety precautions. You know, always have your gloves. I have the slider door closed so Meg doesn't come out here and interact. Animals can always create a little chaos for you, only because they're not predictable. She was out here earlier today. We're going to see how this day goes for her. I didn't walk her. It's been really, really hot, and I don't know how well she's going to do. She's got quite a bit of energy for a young dog. We might have to rethink that tomorrow, but I'm sure she can handle one day. It looks like we're going to be having this heat. We'll get back to our regular highs hopefully by Saturday. I don't think she can go that long without a walk, but it's not too bad early in the morning, but it sure is brutal getting up that early, let me tell you. By this time of the year, I'm a little tired of getting up super early to go for a dog walk. But without a doubt, morning is my favorite time of the day. I love this time of the day. Just painting our turtle. When I was a very young child, when we lived in coastal Alaska, I used to go sit on this stump in the woods, and I was kind of surrounded by the bushes, so it was kind of like nobody knew I was there. And I would have my art pad, and I would sit there and I would paint and draw. A lot of charcoal drawing and pen and ink for sure. Something that I really enjoyed. It's definitely therapeutic. And when you first start, if you don't have any experience with it, just go with it. Just whatever comes out, just let it happen. Because it can be super relaxing. I think it's very therapeutic. You use a different side of your brain for art than you do with, say, for math, right? Okay, I think we have a nice aqua base here. Sanibel is the actual color. A nice base, so we're ready to add some definition. Now, if you look at this turtle, it's got a lot of imprinted definition from the mold, and we're just going to enhance that with our different stains. And note, I am rinsing my brush off here real good because this acid stain destroys the brush. If I manage to paint 3 turtles with this brush, it'll be a miracle, because that's how intense this acid is. So what do you think so far? I think that's really pretty just like that, but it's going to get even prettier as we add more color definition. So my suggestion would be, as you add definition, let's put our lid back on. The darkest color that we use on this, we're going to use the least amount of it, right? And likewise, if you were doing, I don't know how it would work to do a dark stain first and then add lighter colors. It's not quite like using an opaque paint. That might not work too well, but we'll use more concentrations of the lighter colors and work our way darker. And as we get darker, we'll use less. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So let's think about this for a minute. I think I want to use the Colorado Gold next. It's kind of this yellowish tint. It's not really true yellow, but I think we're going to use that next, and we're going to use that for our bigger indentations that we want to give definition to. I don't know if it's necessary to shake this at all, but I'm just going to do it. I know if you're using a real paint, you would do that. It's probably not necessary. Ooh, and it looks like I haven't used this one. Either that or the lid. It's possible this part of the lid just actually stuck. Anyway, we're just going to actually throw that away when we're done. And let me see, I'm going to go to a slightly smaller brush. It's a brush I've used before. Let's just dip that in there. And now we're going to go for our largest area of definition, and that's these creases. Good, define the shell of the turtle. And don't worry if you accidentally drip some in a spot that you don't mean to, it doesn't matter. It'll just add more uniqueness and color to it, and it'll end up being pretty cool. So this is interesting. We actually have a little bit of green forming here from this. I guess I could have waited for the Sanibel to fully dry, but I actually kind of enjoy blended colors, so we will just go with this. And as it dries, it could change a little bit too. But green tone actually does look pretty cool with this, so I'm not that worried about it. We'll probably get areas that have a little more yellow to it and areas that have a little more green, right? I think her pool colors, her other cement ornaments are pretty light colored. From what I could tell, it was evening, so we want mostly lighter colors to blend in with her existing design. And we'll just add a few dark highlights, low lights, whatever you want to call it, for definition. I can already tell I'm really going to like this. You hear that hummingbird? We've had hummingbirds flying by all morning. There's a little competition for the feeder. No, I've only seen the hummingbird babies once. I almost feel like they run their own babies off once they're out of the nest. They're really pretty territorial. And that's interesting because one of my sister-in-laws in Virginia has multiple feeders out, and you can see pictures of all kinds of hummingbirds actually going to her feeders. But our hummingbirds are super territorial, and I think it might just be that the resources are so hard to come by here. I try to keep flowers growing for them, and right now there's not a whole lot of those flowers going. Some of the, like the vegetables, believe it or not, when onions go to seed, they seem to really like those flowers. So we have a hummingbird feeder, and then we try to provide as much as we can as far as flowering type plants. Even if your broccoli goes to seed, like your rapini, I know that's not desirable, but unfortunately that seems to always happen here. I have never gotten a full head of broccoli in my garden here. I have gotten cauliflower before, which was remarkable. Happened once, maybe it'll happen again. But even those kind of flowers they really like. They like the tall flowering stalks on the aloes, which is pretty interesting. We have a lot of aloes in our yard. That's right, let's let this kind of pull on the edge here so that it drips down and creates a little definition. Just right where it comes down. We'll give it a lot more personality. So the goal here isn't to be super precise. We just want it to be very flowing, especially since it's a turtle. Just kind of think of it as swimming in the water, right? This is so easy to do, every aspect of this. You could actually spend quite a bit of money buying this kind of stuff. I think it's fun to try making your own. Obviously, you can tell, right? I make all kinds of stuff. All right, let's do a little more here. Let's do these ones. Let it curl on the edge. Basically, we're just doing the larger imprinted lines of definition with this Colorado Gold, which is taking on a sort of goldish green color. And actually, as it dries, it's pretty interesting. It kind of looks like a oxidized kind of gold in some areas. So I'm pretty happy with what I'm getting with this for color. Initially, it looked like it was going to turn kind of green, but it didn't get too out of hand, so that's pretty cool. As we touch the edge, we just let it pull there so it kind of dribbles down on the side and gives it some personality on the edge. Let's just do a little bit on the eyes of the turtle here. Just a little. We're going to come back and add more definition to that with the darker color, but like adding a little bit in here. Yeah, so I'm very happy that I went with my construction type worker person who worked with concrete's recommendation with a stain. I think if you used epoxy paint, it would probably last for a while, but eventually it would peel, especially if you're in a really hot climate like this. Any place where you have a lot of weather erosion, this concrete acid stain is the way to go. People actually use this to put on unfinished concrete floors and make amazing, beautiful designs. I mean, I'm looking at this patio thinking, a lot of potential here, right? You can make it pretty gorgeous. Do have a little water damage. I tell you, water, concrete, and sun, it really erodes easily. And let's just put a little bit of this here on the feet. Just a little. Now at this point, you could let this dry before you added more stain, but I really enjoy how fluid it is with the colors blending together. So I'm actually just going to keep working this surface. And you'll find in areas where your stain pulls the most, you're going to have sort of a marbling effect when it's all done. Right. I need a sip of my tea here. Okay, so I'm using muted colors. You could use really vibrant, intense colors if you wanted. But because I know my friends kind of think I know what her color scheme is outside, I'm keeping it a little more diminished. All right, I think next we're going to go with this rosewood. And we're going to use that for the fine definition. And we're going to use a smaller brush, right? We're going to use less of the dark to add some definition on this with a smaller brush. So this is the rosewood, which will be approximately this color here. Now we're going to come in and do our fine definition with this. And I think I will just start in the main body of the turtle and work my way out. So right now it looks like I'm adding green, but it should react and become dark colored, or at least darker. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. Initially, the Colorado Gold looked like it was going to go green, and now I'm actually getting the true color as the concrete acid stain reacts. So that's pretty awesome. I anticipate we'll get the same effect with the rosewood. If it's not as dark as I want, or say if you want it in a project, there's nothing wrong with continuing to work it with some other colors. get a darker effect, although I think this might be pretty cool as is. Right now it definitely doesn't look like the rosewood, but we'll see. It's reacting with the other colors. And it could potentially, in areas where the other stain is already more dried for the acid stain, could potentially get more dark in those spots. I really enjoy color variations. I like it when I do something and it doesn't look like you bought it at the store. I like it when things have character and personality. I always feel like I have more ideas than I have time for, but the great thing about that is as long as you have a purpose in life, you're probably going to be here, right? I got plenty of projects here that I would like to do in my lifetime. Today it's a turtle. And I picked turtles because I had a choice at the time when I was ordering molds between turtles or the sun, and lizards would have been pretty cool too, although I don't know how hard it would be to get lizards out of a mold. Right now it's looking like this rosewood is going to form kind of a brownish tone. Not quite as dark as I'd hoped, but that's okay. I could even come back over it if I wanted. Right now I'm really liking what I'm getting. So try to be fluid with your expectations when you're doing this, because when you get chemical reactions, it could be slightly different, but it could end up being pretty cool too, right? Morning, sweetheart. We're doing some turtle.
Make you a coffee?
I have a tea right now, but in a little bit I'll have a coffee. I have a tea right now, but in a little bit I'll have a coffee. What do you think of how our turtles?
Oh, that looks gorgeous. That has more green in it.
Well, you know, it's supposed to be rosewood, but it's actually kind of turning out to be a muted brown. This could potentially be really dark, but it's possible that my colors are kind of blending a little bit, which I don't mind. I actually kind of like it.
Mm-hmm. How about a kiss?
You want to say hi to everybody?
To who?
Oh, we're doing a live.
Oh, hi everybody.
Yeah, don't walk in. You're fine. I don't
Let me
think
go
he,
get one.
he's gonna go put some clothes on.
Yeah.
He's not
Nice to be able
naked,
to
but
stand on your back porch with just your undies on.
oops, we caught him by surprise. I don't think he actually went into the field of view. That's okay. It just looks like he's wearing a swimsuit. We could potentially add like one more color to add a little more definition, and we might actually do that. But so far I really like how all these colors are coming together. Just takes a little patience, that's all. Mr. Painter forgot we were doing a live this morning painting turtles, but he's just waking up. Usually we have a little coffee in the morning together before I walk Meg. It's already cooking. I'm already sweating out here, but it's not horrible. Stay hydrated, people. That whole dehydration thing can sneak up on you if you're not careful. So you kind of want to drink your coffee early in the morning to fully enjoy it, because it's not quite as enjoyable once it gets hot, right? She could always go in and be in an air conditioning. That would work too. I like the irregularities that I'm getting here. A person could probably sell these at a flea market. You would have to like factor in your cost. So the flea markets here are either going to be really hot. I don't actually think they have any outdoor ones this time of the year. I think things kind of shut down June, July, August, and then start back up in September. So you're either going to be hot or you're going to be cold. One year I did one, and it was in November. And I had no idea how the cold could radiate up through the ground, because you don't really think of Nevada as being cold, right? But the ground can be quite cold. So just plain old sneakers don't cut it, even if there's no snow. We are just painting our turtle. It's so fun. Wish y'all could be here enjoying doing this with me. But hopefully I'm inspiring you to try doing this yourself. It doesn't have to be a turtle. Again, I had two choices on molds. Well, actually, there's always these round, boring looking ones, right? I'd rather have something with more personality. This turtle gives you a lot of opportunity for personality.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, hi, sweetie. Where's your...
Oh, my tea's right here. I don't have it on the table because I could accidentally dip
don't.
my acid brush in it, right?
You want to do that? Look at that. Oh, how gorgeous.
You like it?
Now, that's not a snapping turtle, is it?
I don't know what kind of turtle it is.
It looks kind of like a sea turtle.
Kind of does. I
Right.
know. I couldn't find a tortoise, so.
It looks kind of like the kind you see on Hawaii, kind of like those big turtles that everybody runs to the beach and goes, "Ooh, look a turtle, turtle."
Well, I guess it'll be fitting to be by her pool, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is this one for Carol?
This is a one for Carol.
Oh, she'll love it. She'll love it. Hopefully it doesn't jump in the pool. Or with our Santa Ana winds get blown in the pool, right? All the winds we had this year.
This is pretty heavy, so it's probably not going to blow anywhere.
He's got a little stubby tail. You know, I have to go do that.
Oh, you have to go fix the
Yeah,
toilet, yeah?
I'm going to get moving that way. I can meet Andy, have a coffee, and go.
All right, baby.
I can't.
That's
That
right.
stupid insurance thing is not, they jacked it up to $85 now.
For the property rental?
Yeah, you know, if you, oh shoot, I got a tag. If you, like I could let them do it, but then it's $85.
Anybody else out there having an experience with things getting more expensive?
Yeah, crazy. My, well, my homeowner's insurance went way up. Had to change auto companies because the auto insurance went way up. And then I thought, well, I finally managed to, you know, find some reasonable rates. And then I got a letter from I have a rental property, and my rental insurance went up. I mean, I'm going to guess and say like a nice round figure. Everything went up about 35%.
So one thing we found is when people try to jack prices up on you, shop around, get quotes from somebody else.
Yeah, don't be afraid to shop, because what happened to us, our insurance, a company I was with, I won't name any names, but the company I was with for over 20 years, they more than doubled my insurance rate. So I called them up because I thought, well, this is a mistake. And I called them up and to make a long story short, it wasn't a mistake. They more than doubled my premium. So I started calling, and I called 4 different insurance companies, which I think is about all there is out here in Las Vegas. And I was able to come up with a company that ended up charging me a little bit more than the old rate with my prior insurance company. So I was, needless to say, very happy, but I'm a little concerned because September 1st is the end of the year, and they're probably going to raise my rates again. I don't know. But I don't know if everybody else is suffering what we are, but wow. Insurance costs have gone through the roof out here in Las Vegas. So, hope not. Hope everybody else is good. I heard they're having big problems in Florida, though.
Oh, California too, right?
And California, yeah, a lot, like 3 companies in the past 6 months pulled out. They're not signing any new customers.
We're going to try some English mahogany for more definition.
And State Farm said if they're not allowed to raise rates 30%, they're pulling totally out of California. What do you think of that?
That's pretty awful.
It's awful.
And did you say that people in Florida can't even get insurance?
There's people in Florida that can't even get insurance. Yeah. It's just going, it's crazy. I guess with all these disasters, I don't know, they're saying that they need more money. Oh, look, there's your baby. Hi there.
Yeah, we were talking about our dove last night that we rescued. It's been a few years, right?
We can't
was during
remember
COVID.
exactly. We'd have to go look at.
I would have to look at my Facebook.
Yeah, but it's either 3 or 4 years. She's right over there behind me. I don't know if you can see her, but she's our rescue dove. We have a rescue dog and a rescue dove, right?
Yeah, except we actually hand fed this chick.
She lived in the house for about 3 weeks. She was really tiny when we got her, and we raised her like a canary. I mean, she was basically would land on my shoulder and just stay there all day.
Yep, she
and
loved
when we turned her
comfort.
loose, the next day, she slept up in the tree there behind us. The next day, she flew right down onto my shoulder, like, "Hey, I'm going home."
Yep, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
By the time when we put her out, it was really hard because you kind of get attached to these things and you're wondering if they're going to make it.
We were so attached because we literally rescued her, saved her life. She never would have made it. And then it's like, well,
when she started flying in the house, it was unsafe for her, and it was kind of
yeah, she was flying around the house, and I was worried she might fly into the mirror, for some
she
reason.
almost flew into my pan when I was cooking, and that to me was like, okay, it's time for her to be outside.
That's an omen. Time to go.
And she wasn't too happy with us for putting her out, but as you can see, she got over it. She comes back, and I can walk like a couple feet away from her now. She used to actually
There she is.
When we first
crazy bird.
When we first released her, she would come sit with us on the porch, and she would actually nap on the table because it's almost like she felt safe with us.
Yeah, she felt very safe, and she would just fall right asleep
next to us. And of course now she's learned to be a wild bird, but she still gets pretty close to us.
I'm surprised though she's made it this long, 3 or 4. They don't live forever, I think. They say if we throw seeds almost every day, so she's probably more like a wild domestic dove, so she could live 7 years. But
once we saved her, we kind of felt an obligation to provide for her.
Yeah, we weren't sure if she was going to be able to be totally wild because we fed her so much. Did you feed them, Rose?
I have, yeah. You can give them some more if you like.
I'll give them a little more.
Right, I saw the little the family with the one chick early this morning.
Look. Oh, I hear the quail, Rose.
Oh yeah, they've been hanging out.
I heard them.
The one male was hanging out over by the pistachio on the wall yesterday. I kind of feel like his hen is having her eggs now. Maybe they may have chicks at this point. Haven't seen anything, but that'll be cool when we do.
Oh yeah. We get a few days. I wonder. I hope. You know they're coming. They're gonna hatch, and when they do, I hope they hang around a little longer. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I
It
think what
was sa-
happened is that Red Hawk was hanging out because the Red Hawks will actually run the doves into the glass door, and then they'll grab them when they stun them and eat them.
Yeah, no, I
So,
know, but I'm talking about the quail.
well, they probably didn't like the Black Hawk near their babies, right?
Oh, gotcha.
I mean the Red Hawk, not a Black Hawk.
Yeah. All right, sweetie. I love you. I'm gonna get moving so I can
Love
get
you.
this done in the morning before it gets.
Good luck. I hope it goes well.
It will.
Say hi to Andy.
All right, I will. Oh wait, I didn't say bye. Bye, everybody. Hope you enjoy creative adventures with my wife, Rose.
All
Did I
right.
get the name right?
You got it right.
All right, sweetie. I love you. I won't lock you in.
All right. Oh yeah, don't lock me out. Thank you. Boy, that'd make for a long day, right? I do have access to water, but oh man. 119. I think the last time there was a heat wave as intense as the one we're having right now was 1913. And it looked to me like Death Valley may have hit 127 last night. Seems like this intense heat is going to last until Saturday. So we are coming back with English mahogany to add a little more definition. It'll be interesting to see. And I'm not doing all the definition with it. I'm just picking a new area that I haven't worked. It'll be interesting to see if it gets any darker than the other one I just used. Only time will tell. I think I may use the Pacific Dogwood after all, and the big circles here on the back. I think that might be cool. Another thing I could do is I could come back and add more Sanibel there too and let it pool. That could be cool too. But we might just use the Sanibel as a base color. Remember to let it pool on the edges if you want it to drip down and create some kind of cool effect. Yeah, most of our day yesterday was spent making sure nothing dried out in our yard. You have to be careful though, you can actually kill something with water easier than you can by letting it get dry. So there's limitations there. It's so hard in this weather. I was talking with a friend of mine last night that lives in Arizona, and their Meyer actually has yellow leaves as well, so it's not just us. I think the citrus just will live here, but it just really doesn't quite like the intensity of our dry heat. So we'll see. We have some lemons on. Let's see what we get. You get what you get and you don't throw a fit. That ruby red grapefruit, it's got a little bit of yellowing on its leaves as well, but it's putting on grapefruit. I'm so thankful for that because it makes the most delicious grapefruit. All right, let's think about this for a minute. What do we want to do next? I think let's just make sure we got a little rundown here on the edges on all of our definition, just because that does have a cool effect. You figured this stuff out because initially you start doing this and you try to color in the lines, but it doesn't really work when you're working with something that's so fluid like water. And then you discover that that's cool, that it doesn't work the way you thought it should work. She gives you a lot more definition. You hear that? That's the quail coming into the yard. They're saying we're hungry. I don't know if this is a different quail family. You can't really tell until they show up with their chicks, right? So the one quail family with the one chick, the daddy's missing its plume because it got into a fight. I think we're good on this color. All right, let's rinse that brush off. And I think we're gonna do a little dogwood next. Oh, I don't know if you're getting those hummingbirds in the background. Those guys are running all over the place. And here comes the quail. All right, let's add some Pacific dogwood. We'll definitely add some green to it. I'm just gonna put this right in the middle of all these circles on the back of the turtle. And I'm not going to try to fill it in perfectly. I'm just going to dab some on. I think the irregular color gives it the most beauty. Right. And then next, I think I might just splash a little more Sanibel in some places just because it's such a pretty blue color. So I think I got a little darker than I wanted to get, but it'll probably still be really cool despite that. So let's do that. Let's add a little Sanibel back in. I'm just gonna put some in different spots just to intensify this beautiful kind of aqua Sanibel blue. It's our foundation color. I'm just basically adding it to the areas where I didn't put color. And intensify a little bit of this aqua because it's so pretty. And if it pulls, it's okay because you'll end up with a marbling effect. Actually, you might have to make it pull a lot if you really were specifically going for marbling. We don't worry about anything pulling. Now, granted, I wouldn't want a whole bunch of this brown to pull because it would just kind of like clobber the design a little bit, I think, but this lighter color is pretty awesome. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to let it dry overnight, and then tomorrow we're going to use our neutralizer on it, right? We'll neutralize it and we'll brush it off a little bit with a brush, and we'll hose it off to rinse it off, and then we'll have a finished product. I think it would be so fun to do a floor with these kind of paints, but you definitely would want to do a lot of painting on things like turtles first because a floor is permanent, right? Before you attempted something like that. You know, if you had an unfinished concrete floor, a garage, a concrete patio, that kind of thing. These quail are getting pretty tame. They're right out there eating their food, scratching. I don't know if you can see any of them. Put our lid back on. All right, let me see if I can get my phone off the tripod without canceling out our video, or actually I'll just lift the tripod. See if we can get you a better view here of what we did so far today. See that? You can see some areas we're going to have that intense Sanibel, and we've got some greens, we've got some browns going here. You can use whatever colors you want. There's all kinds of concrete acid stains out there. I think there's some that aren't as natural of colors. I personally like the natural colors. I think I got a little heavier with the brown that I wanted, but that's okay. Well, thanks for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed painting turtles with me this morning. Hope you have a blessed day. Thanks for watching.